Hello, everyone. As a reminder, you are watching the English language restream of Nitro Speedrun Festival. It is the first iteration of Nitro Speedrun's new flagship event, and it's being held in Lyon, France. The event runs for roughly 48 hours from September 26th to September 28th. And this event is a fundraising event, raising money to help fund future Nitro Speedrun events. So far, they've raised almost 1,400 euros, which is a fantastic amount, especially for their first ever event. If you want to see the schedule, what's coming up, !schedule in chat. If you see on that schedule that there is no commentator for a run and you know the game and you would love to come help commentate, !form. We take signups during the event. We take signups even during the run. You're welcome to come join us. And if you would like to help support their cause, you can also type !donate. That'll take you to Nitro Speedrun Festival's donation page. And if you see something that you go, hey, I wanted to watch that, but I missed it maybe because you were asleep because time zones, !YT in the chat will take you to our YouTube channel where you'll be able to catch up on all of the runs of this event. Now, with that being said, our next run is going to be, let me find on schedule, the Tasmanian Tiger, and we do have a commentator here for that run.
Hi, my name is Laurie, and I've not played this game myself, but the first friend I made in speedrunning was in 2015, and they've played this game the whole time I've known them. So I've osmosised a good amount of the run, and I also obviously still kind of keep up with it a bit. So I hopefully will be a good enough guide for the Tasmanian Tiger. If you don't know what this game is, it's a 6th gen, so GameCube, Xbox, PS2 era collectathon. They were all the rage that day, or during those years. And it's definitely got a bit of a cult following that is, I believe, very well warranted. This game, it looks very good, and I should play it. But I think it definitely deserves a bit more respect than it gets, because it's not like one of the biggest names ever, but it still has a lot of merit to it. This is the first game in the series, and something you're going to learn very quickly once we get into it is that the development team of these games are very, very unapologetically Australian. If we hear any character voices in games, you're going to hear it all over the game sound design, honestly. A lot of the character names, too. There's like Ty. Ty's the main character, but then there's like Shazza is his... I don't remember if she's a sister or a love interest, which is probably important to know.
On dit pas que aller vite à très haut niveau, tous les speedruns deviennent particulièrement tendus. Mais alors par contre, se mettre en OOB en fait et sortir des limites.
Not sister. All right, I remember. Let's go.
Vraiment simple et très accessible.
But yeah, game's very silly, and the run is actually really cool. You still have to see a good bit of the game, but there are some major skips that we're going to see.
I am excited. I'm trying to think. One of the first ever hosts that had an event was for the Tasmanian Tiger game, but I don't recall which one. Let me double check. It was the second game.
It was the second game? Oh, okay.
Yes. So I'm excited to get to see the first one today.
Yeah, I think the first one is by far the most popular for like runs, but the second game definitely has a little bit of like, definitely the second game also has sauce, but this one is, I've seen runs of all three games. This one is probably definitely my favorite. And
si vous mettez du coup l'un de ces hashtags sur votre nom, vous entrez dans la bidoire qui vous permet en fait d'avoir une chance de gagner le hashtag Sekiro également avec le porte-clés Sekiro.
We're also looking at some prizes still, because they do have prizes.
They have really cute prizes.
The Pikachu? Oh, the Pikachu is so cute. I want to pet the Pikachu. But also, like, all the prizes have been very beautiful.
Yeah. I really like the, there's a Yoshi Perler one.
Bonne chance.
All right.
It's time.
Yeah.
Bonsoir, bonsoir. J'espère que vous allez bien, que vous avez passé une bonne après-midi.
So, yeah, I'm very excited for this once the run gets started, because it's a run that's like, it's a run that I think has a nice flow to it. It's not like super intense the whole time, but there's like not a lot of downtime. You're kind of like cruising a lot, but obviously, you know, it's not easy.
Pas de restriction particulière, si ce n'est de terminer le jeu. Et voilà. Donc on va pouvoir commencer. Je vais laisser Alzer un peu introduire comment ça se passe. En gros, c'est un platformer 3D, un peu à la Crash Mario. On va avoir plusieurs hubs de niveau.
And yeah, there's one of my favorite prizes on screen right now, the Yoshi Perler.
T'as pas fait de pour le timer.
C'est juste pour voir.
But
on peut avoir un crash en fait.
once the game is they like preload in to like make the load faster on the new load in. But it's a new file, so it's not like any weird file stuff.
Ouais, parce qu'en fait, c'est un vieux jeu. Et en fait, si on fait trop de loading zone, le jeu crash pour absolument aucune raison. Donc, faut pas trop
juste
jouer.
éviter que ça arrive en plein milieu du run.
Ouais, parce que sinon, ça peut être très très chiant.
Ça va être vite pour moi. Je fais un petit décompte peut-être.
Vas-y.
Moi je suis prêt. 3,
2,
2, 1, let's go.
Alors c'est parti pour la run. Alors on peut skip toutes les cinématiques, donc vous allez voir.
All right, and now the run is truly starting. So, start of the run, we get into the first hub area of the game. Instantly, Ty has his boomerangs, which he's going to be using a lot through the game. But despite this hub actually trying to make us go to a specific level first, instantly, Zax is going to do a gate jump to choose a different level to access first. And the first level that he's going to go to is actually what is normally the third level you would go to, which is Shipwrecks, this very water-focused level with a lot of like pirate theming as well. And right off the bat, you might notice that, hey, this swimming is like kind of actually fast and like not bad at all. And that's actually going to tie into a really important trick that you're going to see a lot in this run called ground swimming. Zax is going to dive into a wall into water, and that's going to set his state to a point where he's swimming kind of before he actually goes into the water. And, ooh, okay, struggled a little bit here, but manages to jump up. Ground swimming is really good, not just because swimming movement is fast, but also because you can kind of swim up walls. You can also swim up, just like without a wall, but if you swim too far away from the floor, the game will resurface you, and you'll lose your ground swim state. So it's why you usually want to stay grounded or stick near walls when using it, because you want to keep it for as long as possible. But so far we've also collected two of the main collectible in this game, which is the Thunder Eggs. There are a few collectibles throughout the game, but Thunder Eggs are the only super relevant one for the 80% run. There are usually also golden cogs, which allow you to gain access to more boomerangs, as well as opals, which if you collect all 300 in a stage, there's a machine that lets you turn them into a thunder egg, but that's so many opals. Like, that's just not worth doing with how much time it takes. But also you saw there, as soon as the last thunder egg in that stage was collected, Zax just quit out, because you can pause during the thunder egg animation and you have it in your inventory as soon as like the animation starts. So you can use quit outs to skip the animation, but since it obviously quits you out back to the start of the stage, that's usually not recommended unless you're already leaving. But this stage here is 2-up, and it is the intended first stage of the game, so there's going to be a lot of tutorials throughout here.
Parce que là on n'a qu'un seul boomerang, mais on peut en avoir deux.
There's going to be a lot of tutorials, such as boomerang throwing and also the bite attack. The bite is pretty interesting because, as you saw, in the air, but also on the ground, it has a little like bit of a charge to it. So it's not like great for normal movement, but you might see it just to like gain a little bit of momentum in a direction for a few skips throughout the run. But 2-up is a much more basic level than Shipwrecks. There is a cutscene skip there, jumping off of that spawning in platform. So there's still tech. But the big thing here is just, again, this is kind of a tutorial level. And there's also the introduction, because we didn't collect them in Shipwrecks, to the Bilbies, which if you have played Banjo-Kazooie, they're very similar to Jinjos. So there's 5 creatures in a level that you just have to go around and collect. And when you collect the 5th one, that one will spawn the Thunder Egg. I believe the Thunder Egg criteria for the first boss is 17. So there's 3 levels to go between to get 17 of these Thunder Eggs. And after collecting those 2, we're going to see another ground swim here, just because, again, the movement is generally fast with swimming.
Voilà. Et en fait aussi, ce qui est un truc précis, c'est pas une frame, mais il y a quelques frames. On a quelques frames quand on fait un saut. Normalement le double
And in this level, you also get a second boomerang now. So this is really important because you have the ability to glide. So you can just like, you know, slow your descent when you're falling, and that allows you to make longer jumps. And as you can probably guess, in a 3D platformer, you can definitely do some silly stuff. Like in a 3D platformer that's already proven to be a little bit broken, you can absolutely do some silly stuff here. So the last thing to do in 2-up is this ring challenge. It's like a little race. You have to go through all of the rings and then reach the ending. To speed up the end of it, Zax is going to do a ground swim here. And once the race is over, that will spawn the Thunder Egg, and he'll immediately be able to leave the stage because that's the last one we want from that stage. So now the door opens normally, but it's still a little bit faster to jump over it and to go to Walk in the Park is the name of the stage. And this stage is actually not a walk in the park. There's a lot of minor skips going on here that are hard to explain. But as you can see here, he's like trying to be really careful with this like piece of geometry that the game technically doesn't want him on, to jump over and skip sections of the level. In this level, just like 2-up, we will be collecting all the Bilbies, and we will be doing more ground swims such as this one. With this one, you can kind of see what I was talking about earlier about how if Zax gets too far away from the wall, he stops. He loses the ground swim. So like that's why we can't just kind of swim anywhere. But this is a fun little like mini game mission you can do for a Thunder Egg here. These like, I don't know what animal these are, but they will start walking across the bridge, and you can throw your boomerang at the boulders to take them out, and you have to take out 10 of them. And they kind of stun, or they kind of come in like a little cycle. So you do the 5 boulders and then wait a little bit and then do 5 more boulders. But not too much is happening during this.
Ouais, je me suis un peu craqué, on a un petit logo NSF sur le short.
On vous le montrera pour le boss du premier hub. On va vous montrer le... Alors aussi, les Grand Swim, ce qu'il faut savoir, c'est qu'on peut les garder après...
Alright, and yeah, through all that, we actually get to keep the ground swim out of the minigame, which is really nice. Because, again, it's just faster movement. And that lets us into this tree area, where not only is the second Bilby of the stage, but also up this tree is going to be another Thunder Egg.
Donc là, on va croiser les autruches, les dodos comme j'aime les appeler. Et c'est sûrement la chose la plus... Bah, c'est pas RNG, mais c'est...
And then there's this little bird here. You want to try and bite it. You can bite it before it runs at all, but it seems like just didn't work out that time, but there you go, getting ahead of it, and that is a Thunder Egg.
Ça peut être un peu RNG parce que ça dépend de l'endroit où on est. Puis elle fuit vite, donc ça peut être très très chiant. Et aussi dans les niveaux, il y a des champignons comme ça qui vous permettent.
But then coming up, these mushrooms let you warp to another part in the stage. They're kind of just like,
C'est cool de savoir.
you know, they're just kind of standard warp points.
Tu vas trop à
And then this is another jump. This level is usually has these like sliding sections where you have to slide down these like rivers. And a lot of these jumps, like the one we did earlier in the stage as well, that like
tigre.
kind of look like they're going over an out of bounds like
Et là, on va faire un.
slope or like collision intended to be a wall. Some of those have the result of skipping those sliding sections, which is really nice.
Ouais, c'est dur. En fait, faut spam la plan.
La planification intégrale. Il faut planer avec.
But coming up here, we have the last ability of the stage. So again, that means just a free Thunder Egg. And we're still not done in this stage. Because just like the last stage, there is also one of those like ring racing challenges here. Okay, didn't mean to fall down there, but it's fine. It doesn't take that much time thanks to these flowers to get back up to where he wants to go.
Sauf qu'on le fait de l'autre côté. On va retourner.
Yeah, wants to try and jump to land over here just like that, and then can do a ground swim thanks to this very shallow water. I think it's just due to like it's considered water even if you're not supposed to be able to swim in it. It's still considered water by the game. So because you're diving into the wall, it still like
Ici, c'est un peu mystique parce que.
counts as putting the game in the swim state because it's still water. Even if it's not enough to swim in normally, the game detects that you have space, so you can still ground swim on it. But then we talk to that NPC, and he's like trying to look through these tunnels for a few things. So
Donc là, on a mis un premier coup aux chauves-souris pour les.
Zax is going to hit that down, and that's going to spawn a Thunder Egg just up here.
Et les chauves-souris, en fait, faut les taper 2 fois pour les faire. 3 fois pour les faire partir.
And then
Donc là, on va les taper une deuxième fois.
when he swims back through the cave, he's going to disturb those bats right there.
Taper une dernière fois. Et ça va être la fin de ce niveau-là, je crois.
And then try and get through this tunnel here
On va voir un toboggan du coup.
and hit the bats on their way
Je sais pas pourquoi.
to their new spot. And that's going to spawn the other Thunder Egg from the NPC at the top.
Donc, du coup, le time trial.
And from there, reloading the level to go back to the start gives us access to the ring challenge of this stage, which takes place on one of the water slide sections. So just going to be sliding down
On a fait la quête.
this like river and getting a Thunder Egg for it before leaving the stage.
C'est quand t'arrives au bout du niveau.
Faut faire attention là pour le toboggan. Bah, faut faire un peu attention, ouais, parce qu'on a plein d'obstacles à éviter. Donc on peut sauter pendant le toboggan. Et on prend des dégâts à chaque fois qu'on se fait toucher par un débris. Et au bout de 4 dégâts, on perd une vie, donc ça peut être un peu chiant.
And there we go. End of the race. That's going to be Thunder Egg, quit to menu. And those are the 3 stages that are available in the first hub of the game. But with enough Thunder Eggs collected, we are going to be able to see the first boss of the game. This is Bullpen. And he is
C'est un fight un peu.
not too difficult. You're trying to bait him into charging into these pillars so that you can attack him with the bite. But what you're actually going to see here is trying to kind of stand a little bit in front of the pillar and then use like the little lunge forward that the bite usually gives to hit the boss as soon as possible and then kind of jump behind the pillar so that you don't take damage. It's a little bit precise. As you see, he's still taking damage here, so Zax is going to have to be careful kind of at the end of this fight. Yeah, I'm going to play it a little bit more normally, actively hiding behind the pillars. But outside of that trick, this is like not a difficult fight much.
Ce qui se passe, c'est que en fait, il faut aller derrière les espèces d'arbres là cassés. Un timing pas fou, mais t'es mort.
got landed on by a boulder and got killed, but got the hit still at the same time.
Derrière les rondins parce que sinon il perd l'aggro et faut recommencer que Ganon t'agresse, donc ça fait perdre quelques secondes.
Le fait que tu l'appelles Ganon premier degré m'empêche de
En fait,
dormir.
Now just kind of waiting for the standard attacks of this last hit of Bullpen to finish up, so that he'll prepare to charge towards the pillar and end the fight.
Donc on va voir fini le boss, GG.
And there we go, and there's a damageless hit. That's what you're looking for usually.
Ah, bah, my bad.
So that is the first fight done. And now we're gonna not only head to the second set of levels here, but also you might notice that the boomerangs were on fire for a second. Interesting thing, the fire eggs that Zax was collecting in the first hub of the game were all red, and these ones in the next 3 levels are going to be blue. Also a little ground swim skip there just to kind of navigate to the second set of levels quicker. But yeah, the thunder eggs we're going to collect in this part of the level are actually, or in these next set of levels, are actually going to be blue. This is because the different colored thunder eggs are actually tied to different elements in the lore. So we were able to use the power of the red thunder eggs to create the flamerang, which it is on fire. And that's why, that's actually kind of goes into what makes this run so short, which is that there is actually a skip directly into the final boss, but the final boss is not beatable without the flamerang and the frosty rang, which you get for beating the second boss of the game. So we do have to go up to the second boss and beat it, but once that's done, we can kind of just go to the end of the game. So this is actually the last hub of standard levels you're going to see. This level, Snow Worries, is very big, very cold, and pretty difficult. Right now, Zax is on a quest to grab these 8 koala children. Just as a side quest, there's someone at the beginning of the stage who's looking for all of them, and when you hand in all 8, you will get a thunder egg, but it's a different quest from the Bilbies. There are still Bilbies in this level, and we're going to be collecting those as well.
Donc, ce niveau, en vrai, il est plutôt sympa.
Il y a un trick horrible.
But kind of just making way through the stage here. As I mentioned, the stage is large, and you can probably see it from this like screen right now. The stage is really big. I remember talking to people being like they really don't like the stage just because it's so spread out, and like missing a collectible in this stage is like really unfortunate. But we got the lobster, so it's not all bad. So kind of just like get the lobster angry and then knock these spikes on top of it, and if that's done correctly, get a thunder egg.
En fait, ici, si on arrive à sortir, hop, il l'a pas réussi. C'est pratiquement impossible. Les top runners, même les top runners, ils arrivent pas à faire ce glitch. En fait, si on arrive à sortir en étant collé à la glace à cet endroit-là, on peut continuer à faire un swim en dehors de l'eau. Sauf qu'en fait, c'est à la fois RNG.
And then moving up here, grabbing Bilby number 4, and this part of the stage where you're going up this mountain actually has a few funny things to it, where you're not supposed to be able to climb up the slopes, obviously, just the stairs. But that will actually create an opportunity for us to do some silly stuff in a little bit. First, though, there's this little puzzle where if you knock down these colored icicles in the correct order, which the hitboxes are... The hitboxes in this game aren't perfect. It's a 6th gen mascot platformer, but if you hit them in the right order, you do get a thunder egg for that.
Du coup, sur les bonnes couleurs pour récupérer un thunder egg. Donc là, petit opti, si on monte sur le panier repas, on peut directement aller ici, ça va plus.
And then
Pourquoi tu rigoles là?
heading kind of late into this level,
Si jamais
Zax is going to use this ice path to grab the last Bilby, and then we're going to see
mais il a pas pu voir.
some pretty interesting stuff. First off, Zax is going to try and navigate these like slippery planes that you're usually not supposed to be able to walk on like fully 100% accurately to head over to this area of the stage right here.
Il a tout point qui est très très dur, mais celui-là il est.
And then climbing up a few more sets of stairs, there's going to be
Donc
a
là,
pretty neat skip that
on a tout un.
lets us like kind of skip a quest that we would usually need to complete to grab a Thunder Egg. This is Mill Skip. So Zax is going to use a dive to get on top of that barbed wire there, and then do a few other just like jumps around this structure to grab the Thunder Egg on top, which you're usually supposed to go through a much longer process to get that Thunder Egg. So being able to kind of cheese it like that is really big. And then we can finally cash in the reward for saving all of the koala children and head out of Snow Worries. That was pretty well done. And now we have Outback Safari, which is a pretty unique stage. You spend most of it actually riding on Bullpen, the first boss. And the gameplay is a bit more mission focused. A lot of the Thunder Eggs in the stage are completing tasks. And
Et en fait, si on utilise une manette et le clavier en même temps et qu'on
kind of like
fait une direction,
doing some silly stuff. But we also still have Bilbies.
on va
Can't forget them.
parce que ça casse
Um,
l'input du clavier et l'input du.
saving and loading here just to kind of get back in action, back to the start of the level after the cutscene a little faster.
La main. De faire ça parce qu'il faut avoir la manette. En fait, il faut mettre le pouce sur le joystick analogique et appuyer sur Z en même
And you,
temps. C'est chiant.
this stage is really silly.
On triche. On utilise une aide artificielle.
Grabbing a freestanding Thunder Egg near the waterfall here.
En fait, là j'ai une touche de ma souris qui bind comme si j'avais le joystick vers l'avant.
C'est autorisé, donc on se permet. Et du coup, il a récupéré 3 bilbis pour l'instant. Il va faire
Then
un mini-jeu de.
making it over to this pipe section.
Bah, vraiment, là, c'est vraiment. Bah, c'est aim. Allez hop, t'en as loupé 2.
Little mini game involving these tubes.
Donc c'est très très dur, faut taper.
And once you destroy them all, you get a Thunder Egg. Once again, save quitting back to the start of the stage here.
Un Thunder Egg. Donc là, le pire, l'endroit le plus RNG du jeu.
And finally doing this quest with Shaza wanting you to round up these bandits.
Sauf qu'en fait, bah, il se balade un peu.
So you have to be careful here because you want to use power to drag the bandits in. But if that bar all the way at the bottom like fills up, the rope you're trying to grab them with will actually like snap.
Impossible à
So-
manier, c'est ultra chiant. Et ce qu'il faut savoir aussi, c'est qu'il y a une petite opti du coup dans ce.
Doing a really good job so far.
Normalement, il a pas le droit de mettre des coups de tête comme ça avec Ganon. Normalement, on doit juste.
But yeah, as you can see, it snapped there.
Les dodos. Et ils vont.
So now he has to go catch it again. There we go.
Et en même temps, on appuie sur le coup de tête de Ganon. Ça nous permet de se rapprocher des dodos et de les récupérer plus. Et surtout, ce qui est chiant, là vous voyez, normalement on les récupère comme ça.
Yeah.
Et normalement, faut.
Can be pretty tricky to get them, but Artie has most of them, so just has to get this one. And then this is the last one here. Gonna latch onto it and grab it for
Donc là, on va
the Thunder
récupérer
Egg.
le dernier Bilby, on va finir ce niveau-là. Et après, du coup, vu que c'était le pire.
From there, we do still have
Ça,
one more Bilby to grab.
Bridge on the river.
merci. Je pourrais pas traduire en français, malheureusement.
Le pont sur la rivière.
Merci bien.
Y a pas de
Donc là, on va récupérer le
All the way out here.
Thunder Egg qu'il nous donne.
And that is going to be a quit out of the stage for the end of Outback Safari and into
Très stylé.
Bridge on the River Ty. This is going to be, actually,
En fait,
it should be the last standard level we have to play. So it immediately starts off pretty broken with an alternate setup for ground swimming, where I don't know the exact details of this setup, but it involves going into first-person aiming mode on well already underwater and kind of messing with your positions of the game think you're still swimming when you actually leave the water.
Hop, on va récupérer 2 bilby ici. Donc,
But this stage,
mais normalement il peut monter jusqu'ici avec le grand swim.
once again, we're collecting the bilbies just because of how many thunder eggs we need.
Exceptionnel. Donc là on va faire un petit skip encore une fois parce que normalement faut.
And then going for a pretty major jump here to perform reverse bridge, which is where you do that jump and you get to a much later part of the level, much earlier actually. And in this area of the level, this frog dude wants you to light all of these torches that are around with the flamerang. So
en fait, il n'arrive pas à rentrer chez lui. Et donc du coup, on doit lui allumer des lanternes qui sont des barils pour qu'il rentre chez lui parce que sinon il trouve pas son chemin. Et donc du coup, c'est une petite quête qui fait perdre, enfin qui fait gagner du temps parce que c'est relativement simple à faire et on gagne un tender egg à la fin. Alors aussi, ce qu'il faut savoir ici, c'est que si on va trop vite, si on va trop vite, on peut décharger la grenouille.
heading onto the big bridge now, there are still more torches to light up. There are a lot of these.
C'est trop nul en fait.
Vu qu'en fait, il sait pas jouer au jeu, donc voilà. Et donc, si on trop vite, en fait, le jeu il décharge la grenouille. Et si elle décharge, en fait, elle disparaît du niveau. Il faudrait recharger le niveau pour qu'elle revienne. Donc c'est chiant.
And then, yeah, that's the last one in this kind of area. So
Faut vraiment aller très vite. Faut vraiment être très fort pour que
we head back down.
Donc là, on va arriver au mini-jeu
We're gonna talk to this guy who's gonna spawn this box
c'est que si on
that allows us to do another one of these like ring
la grenouille est
mini game things, but instead of a race, this one is a diving challenge. So it's just, you know, pretty simple. But we'll take a simple thunder egg at this point.
Chez elle nous donne un tender egg. Et si on gagne un tender egg pendant qu'on est en train de tomber dans le mini-jeu là, on est softlock et on doit relancer le jeu.
And then we're going to see a good jump up there to just get up to this area quicker. And we're going to see this very visually threatening mini boss. We're gonna collect a thunder egg in the middle of it by kind of like storing a cutscene. I'm not exactly sure how that one works, but it allows us to grab the thunder egg at a point where we can get hit out of the animation to gain control slightly sooner, and then get another thunder egg when we beat this mini boss.
On va récupérer le dernier bilby, non, l'avant-dernier bilby, et après on va voir les autruches, les pires autruches du jeu.
So we still have a little bit more stage here. We have bilby number 4, so we're just waiting on that 5th and final one in order to get the thunder egg from them. Gonna do a little bit of a tricky jump here, perfect, to climb up this a little fast. And then if you remember the bird from Walk in the Park, there's actually more than one here. So yeah, as you can see, they're both kind of bunched up together right now. So just trying to get both of them. If you're quick enough, you can get both of, like, you can get these before they run off at all, but that's a little bit tricky. And going to do a save and quit to get back to the start of the stage here after grabbing that thunder egg. And for this race, you might notice it feels like a little long even for one of these races, and like how kind of spread the thunder eggs in this run are. But with a good ground swim, our movement is going to be faster, so trying to be really careful to maintain the swim off of these ledges. Perfect, though. And you're going to see a much faster time than what the game is telling you to beat. Because again, it's telling you to get 2:18. This is probably going to be like under a minute 30.
En fait, quand il y a même une toute petite mare, on peut quand même relativement aller beaucoup plus haut. Donc là, hop, il peut se permettre de faire ça.
Perfectly. Trying to be careful with the ledges here to keep the ground swim.
GG à lui, hein. On peut applaudir, en vrai, c'est
Just like that.
Parce qu'en fait, c'est très simple de... Avec le... Là, c'est très simple de perdre le grand swim parce que... En fait, les murs, ils étaient... En fait, ils sont placés vraiment à la verticale, donc... ça peut être très dur.
Dites-vous là qu'un top temps sur sur le time
Bah.
attack, c'est genre 1-0-2.
Bah,
C'est abusé.
Kama, du coup, le mec le plus fort du jeu, vraiment, il a le WR en 10%. Et
And yeah, 119. So that was better than I thought it was even.
genre, le mec est vraiment trop fort.
So that is
Globalement, 1 minute 0.
the end of that time trial, and then going to do a jump off of this box. You're going to see us go through the visual of the rocks here a little bit, if the jump is done correctly, just like that, and clip into this back area of the stage where the final Bilby is, grabbing the Thunder Egg from it, and then leaving the stage. And that's the last Thunder Egg we need in this run, because we now have enough to fight the second boss of the game. This is Crikey. And Crikey is a pretty simple boss. The goal is that there are these oxygen tanks at the bottom of the ocean. So you are going to hit them to kind of free them from like the sand, to loosen them up so that they float to the surface, and then try and bait the boss to like come over to you and use the flamerang to explode the oxygen tanks to damage it, and it takes only 3 hits. So waiting for him to swim over here, dealing the 3rd hit.
Pour que ça fasse quand même les dégâts.
Les dégâts sont énormes en termes de zone, donc ça va le toucher même s'il est super loin.
And after that long waiting time, there we go. That's the end of the second boss. So now we have the Frosty Ring, which we use the Blue Thunder Eggs to give us the power of ice on our boomerangs. And with the Fire and Frosty Rings, those are the only 2 rings we need to beat the final boss of the game. So you're going to see a skip here where we're going to use a ground swim up a tree to try and maintain it from a really, maintain it at a really high altitude, and then use a dive attack to get on top of this gate. And this gate is usually what's blocking the final boss. So we have the last level of the game here. This is Cast Pass. It is the first of 3 parts of the final segment of the game. And Cast Pass also has a pretty big skip to go along with it. So it's usually just like this long winding trail to the end of the level. But at this point here, with this these steep steps, you're going to see Zax try and just like that jump over a wall here and land under the stage, where he's going to dive and swim straight to where the end of the level is. So going to make his way to this bottom area, and then
un des téléporteurs qui se trouve à la fin du niveau par en dessous.
Start surfacing and going to hit the trigger to load into part 2 of the final boss. This is Cast Crest, and this part is a little bit slower. There's not as much going on. There's a boss fight here against Shadow the Ghost Bat, who kind of just sends enemies at you over anything. But you still have to go around a lot of the arena while dealing with these enemies. It just takes a little bit of time.
On va juste attendre une audio queue pour appuyer sur le bouton et qu'elle prenne le dégât directement. Donc là c'est un peu
now I can take this time actually while we're waiting for the fight against Shadow here to I can try to explain the story. Pretty much in the story of this game, Ty and Oscas are working to obtain these 5 talismans that can open a portal to dream worlds, because Bosscast is trying to get rid of a lot of mammals, and in his first attempt at doing so, Ty's family was taken. But Sly, Ty's brother, I believe at this point in the game is actually working with Boss Cass. So, but he's about to actually turn on him very soon here as Cass Crest finishes up and we go into the final battle. So time is actually coming up really soon. But the reason why we needed Flamerang and Frostyrang is because we need to do the first two phases of this like final boss to get the ultimate item. So I'll explain. Time is very soon, ideally. So I'm going to try and explain now what we're about to see. We're about to see a skip called Doom Skip. After doing the opening part of this mech fight, so that's the point where a Sly will turn on Cass and give you the Doomerang, which is the only weapon that can take down Cass's giant cyborg mech. And so usually you have to go through this really long gauntlet of a final boss where you're navigating the mech. And you would do these sections where the Doomerang kind of flies in this like first-person motion. You're about to see it. And you would have to do a lot of Doomerang flies through these like narrow tunnels to hit these like power cells. But as you see, Zax is set up to throw the Doomerang out of bounds. And is now navigating the Doomerang through a bunch of like out-of-bounds invisible walls and stuff like that to the last power cell in the fight. And since this fight doesn't require you to actually destroy every power cell in the Doomerang sections, it only requires you to damage the last one, and that will trigger the fight as ending. So as you can see, there he goes. That is the end of Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. It's a really, really cool skip to end off the run, but a very difficult one, I've heard. So really impressive to get that quickly on stage. And look, there's all 5 talismans we totally got and didn't skip 2 of. But yeah, that is a really cool run. Like I said, this game is not as remembered as a lot of other like collectathon, mascot collectathons of its day, but it definitely has a lot of sauce. So yeah, that's really all I gotta say about the run. It's just really cool, and I love that it had a chance to get shown off at an event like this. Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much, Laurie, for that fantastic commentary. I actually learned so much about the series from listening to you talk about it, so thank you. If folks would like to find more of you, where can they do that?
I'm mainly on Twitch and Blue Sky, LaurieDBunnykins on both, and I do a lot of miscellaneous. I don't really have a theme I stick to. I guess indie game is the closest theme I have, but that's about it for me.
Awesome, thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure, and we're going to go to now an interview with the runner, I'm going to assume, if they follow their pattern. But we'll be right back with you with more commentary and more runs.